important thing is beating Tottenham and getting back to winning ways, and you've done that and thoroughly deserved it.
Yes, I think we were outstanding today. I think from the first minute we were really at it, really intense, show a lot of quality, play with real purpose to hurt them with or without the ball. And we create an unbelievable atmosphere, which helps a lot. We know the meaning of the game. We know how important it is for everybody. So it's a gift that we have the opportunity to make a lot of our supporters very happy. And I'm sure we have accomplished that, and they will feel very proud about the team.
And I bet you just were completely dumbfounded when you're suddenly kicking off after 25 minutes 1-0 down, because you'd been so on top, it was untrue.
Yeah, and obviously thinking back, Newcastle, because we should have beat them, or Manchester United, the same, and then you are 1-0. But again, the way we reacted, the attitude that we play with, not feeling sorry for ourselves, just keep insisting, keep going, it was phenomenal, because we played less than 72 hours ago, 120 minutes, and so proud of them.
Again, I have to say, Pedro Porro hits the outside of the post late on. The game should have been way out of sight before you can even be made remotely nervous by something like that.
Yes, because we had some big chances and big situations. We didn't even finish in a chance. But at the end, we had to suffer more than what we wanted. But we got there at the end, and very happy.
And I just want to ask, I know it's not the main thing about tonight, but obviously you're now 4 points off the top of the table, having played a game more. That's kind of secondary, isn't it? But it is chipping away at that gap.
Well, when you have opportunities, you have to take them, that's for sure. Today we've done it. We've been a really consistent run in the Premier League again, performing in a really consistent way. Unfortunately, now it's about tomorrow. Recovery Saturday against Villa is going to be a really tough one again, and keep going and going.
Yeah, they're 11 unbeaten in the Premier League now, the only team unbeaten at home this season. And it is imperative that they can't draw and they can't lose, and they've just got to try and hang on Liverpool's coattails here.
Yeah, of course. I think Liverpool have been outstanding so far this season, and they've really set the standard. I think with and without the ball, their habits are second to none, and there is a reason why they are at the top of the league. And Arsenal just got to keep going now and really believing that they can close that gap. They did what they had to do tonight, and they'll have to keep repeating this now over the next few weeks, and hopefully that gap just gets a little bit smaller and smaller, because anything can happen in the Premier League, that's for sure.
Do you think their experience of the last couple of years up there, challenging, will help them?
A few players, yes, obviously, few players have the experience to try and catch up on Liverpool. But as I said again, it's going to be very difficult. Unfortunately, they are not going to play the whole season against Tottenham. They have to play against Newcastle. They have to play against Aston Villa. And this team will not commit the same mistake as Tottenham did today. So it's going to be very difficult. But obviously, we all want to watch this interesting league, which is the Premier League. So we wish them luck, obviously. We can't wait for them. I can't wait for them because I used to play for Arsenal. I can't wait for them to win on over the weekend against Aston Villa so they can close the gap. But looking at the way Liverpool are playing this time, they already have one player that is over 20 goals already in the... So, if you want to win the league, you need one player to take the lead. Like Mo Salah, what he's doing now for Liverpool, like Didier Drogba, what he was doing for Chelsea, like Fernando Torres, what he was doing for Liverpool, even though he didn't win the league with Liverpool, but you need at least one player. Today, if you look at Arsenal, they have 4 defenders that score 3 or 4 goals. Their top goal scorer is on 7. So for me, it's going to be very, very hard to count them as a team that's going to win the league.
Yeah, the next 2 home games are Villa and Manchester City. But as we sit here now, I know it's your worst nightmare, but are they the most realistic team to challenge Liverpool to the title here?
Yeah, for me they are. Can I see them going? I think from here on in, I mean, I'm not a clairvoyant, but I think that possibly they cannot lose more than 2 games between now and the end, which is very difficult. Man City have done it in the past, put a run together like that. I don't see them being Man City for the reason what Addy's talking about, and we've all touched on tonight. They haven't got that goal scorer. They are 1 player away from winning this Premier League, but try and find that player. They're all looking for him. Yes, he's out there. It's Alexander Isak. You cannot get him now. Forget about it. What are you going to do? What solutions are you going to find for this season? Are they going to be solid enough at the back not to concede enough goals and just to score a few goals from set pieces to win the league? I doubt that. Liverpool will have a slip-up. They haven't had a slip-up yet. You know, they've dropped a few points. Yes, they have, but they will go and they will slip up. They will drop 2 or 3 games on the spin. That will happen. But to then step in and win all them games, I'm not sure they are without a number 9. And it's difficult to find. I don't think they're going to magic up this number 9.
Well, they've got to stay in it till the third last weekend of the season, because that's when Arsenal play Liverpool again.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an exciting finish. I think, you know, over the next few weeks now, if Arsenal are in a really strong position and are still there on Liverpool's heels, or, you know, bridge that gap a bit, I think that'll be interesting then going into the sort of final week of the transfer market, whether they go all out then to try and get someone nailed on to come in or whatever. So I think these next few weeks will determine a lot. But, you know, I think Arsenal can be happy with tonight's work now, and that can sort of put them, you know, in a good place now going into the weekend and over the next few weeks. I think there has been a few little things that need addressing, but definitely saw, you know, a team out there tonight, a team that was willing to try. Yes, they missed a few opportunities, but everything else was in place. They created chances. They did all the things right. They were together, and that can take you, you know, a long way.
Saka could be that man. But we don't know how long he's going to miss.
Last season's top scorer, wasn't he? So.
Yeah, he's capable. He could be that guy, you know, but he needs to be back very soon. And I think he's probably a month away. It was a nasty one.
Crouchy spoke about how much of a leader he's becoming in this side. When you chat to him, Rio, you can see just why.
Well, when he was leaving West Ham and there was loads of clubs interested in him, and everyone was saying, what's so great about him? I was saying, put aside his ability. I think that's unquestionable. He's got a great ability. He can play several positions, and he does them well to a high standard. But I thought the most important part for him and for a football club was you're getting a man. You're getting a man who can actually ram the troops and rally the troops up and really lead people. And I think it's a bit of a throwback in that sense, and there aren't many of them around. So if you could get your hands on someone like that, he's great for the change room, great for the spirit, especially when things aren't going so well. And I think in this period of time, they needed probably someone like him in there, among others, to make sure that they remain steady in there and calm.
And while Martin was giving him a bit of positional advice, it was nice to hear him say that he just gets excited in a game like that. Was it nice to see him just enjoying the game in the way he did?
It is, and sometimes you need the little voice behind you saying, hold on, just sit in for a minute, because maybe my legs are gone at the moment, so I need you to sit there. Position, he plays the 6, he can play the 8. I mean, in the finished Arsenal team, when it's completely finished, I think he plays as a 6. But for now, you can enjoy that work rate. His engine's remarkable. He gets up and down, his technique's improved, his passing range. He's really got everything, but you want him. For instance, for the first goal, Partey's coming out, doesn't really quite get there, but I'm pretty certain Declan would have done.
Do you know what I think? I think you take something away from him. I think he's got too much going the other way if you just narrow him down to a 6. I think he's got that 8 position where he can get up and down the pitch. Crouchy mentioned before the game, his ability to turn defence into attack and cover like 30, 40 yards with the ball and then play the right pass. I think playing in the 6 and saying, right, stay there, I think he's got too much to do that, I think there's other players who think they could do that and he could get more out of him the other way.
I think he's got the energy to do both, though, Rio. I genuinely do. I think there was one little moment in the second half where he sweeped up and he was behind the two centre halves. But then you see him and he's in the box. He's all action. He can carry the ball. He's, you know, from defence into attack, and he's got everything a midfielder needs.
That's why the 8. I think the 8's him, man.
But such an asset for the club that he can switch between the two positions. We spoke a little bit earlier, Crouchy, about Martin Ødegaard, just how much he makes everything tick for Arsenal. Just overall, how do you assess his night?
Yeah, I think in the last 2 games, he's 14 chances he's created. I mean, literally everything goes through him. He's silky. I think there was one little touch. I think Ali and Rio, you were loving. I think he said he had Velcro on his boots. It was this is the touch there. I mean, absolutely beautiful. It's not just for show. You know, he's making things happen for the team. If you look at the 2 centre halves and the midfielders, everyone just tries to get him on the ball. He finds the little pockets. So intelligent the way he plays. He's blossomed into the player that we all thought he would become when he was at Real Madrid.
And the work rate as well, Crouchy. He's covered more distance today than any other player. Boss, how you doing?
Phil, how are you, mate? Okay, yeah, good.
Mikel Arteta just coming out to join us there. Mikel, the guys are just waxing lyrical about Martin Ødegaard in his performance and just the player that he is and what a joy he is for them to watch. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, well, I think the boys were outstanding today. I think we played less than 72 hours ago, 120 minutes in a competition that we are out, and psychologically it's not easy, but the way we perform and play today, I think it was exceptional.
How was that for you on the touchline? Because with just one goal in it, I'm sure you couldn't relax at the end. It was still very open.
Yeah, I think we made it harder for ourselves because I think we deserve to score at least one or two more. But yeah, we have to suffer. We have the capacity to do that as well. But the attitude, for me, was outstanding. The way they played, the purpose that they played, the intensity, it was really good.
And how does that now set you up going into a crucial period? You've got the Champions League back next week as well. Just 4 points off Liverpool now, so right back in it. What foundation does that give you for the rest of the season?
Nothing. Tomorrow and the next game, because we play every 3 days. So the foundation of the last game, that we were incredibly good against United and we end up losing the game somehow, is the next day. It's about the next day. Today we won, great, enjoy now for a few hours, and now it's Villa again.
But in terms of getting your confidence back after what's been a tough week and a tough couple of cup games?
My confidence comes seeing them every single day and the way they perform. It's not about a result. If a result is going to take my confidence out or in, then we shouldn't be doing this.
But Mikel, it's been a difficult time, hasn't it? So the Newcastle defeat, the Manchester United going out, and then you go a goal down. Yeah. And you must be thinking the tide's really against us here, and we're totally dominating the game 25 minutes in. So you've really had to dig. The team's shown a great deal of spirit and brave on the ball to keep going, but you must have been thinking, hold on, have I run over a cat or something? Because it's been a really difficult few days.
Well, we cannot feel sorry for ourselves. I mean, what we can control is performance, and performance is there, and it's been there constantly. The results, this is unfortunately, football is so volatile, and what you deserve, you don't occasionally get it most of the time. Long term, medium term, I'm sure we will do, and today they've done it again.
Mikel, we had Declan on earlier and I asked him the same question. I think all your fan base, the question they all want to know the answer to is, with the injury to have Gabriel Jesus now, is that an area now looking into kind of reinforcing within the squad?
Yes, for sure, because we lost two players, big players, Bukayo that can be out for up to 3 months, so that's a long time, and Gavi that's going to be out for a long time.
This window, do you think?
We're going to try for sure. I mean, we are actively looking at things. We have lost two very important players. We have 14 players in the squad, and we play every 3 days. So we will try, but let's see what we can get.
And just quickly, Miles Lewis Skelly tonight, Declan Rice was singing his praises. Just 18. Mikel, just what do you think about the way he's developing and just how confident he is?
He was phenomenal today, I think. He's a real personality, you know. He has so much trust in himself. He has an attitude about him. Because you have to play against Kulusevski and Johnson here. It's not easy. The way he handled the situation, the occasion as well, it was top, I think.
Well done tonight, Mikel.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
joining
so much.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you know that point there he made there about Lewis Skelly playing against two players?
You could see the smile on his face.
Yeah, but the point is about playing against two types of players. You know, it's like you prepare Kulusevski's his player. That's the one you're playing against today. And then all of a sudden Johnson comes on, a totally different player. A player who has been effective this season and produced moments as well. But to deal with them both with the aplomb that he did, I mean, he deserves huge credit.
But we also sense from the manager, don't you, that the joy he has to be able to put a player in from the academy who's ready, who's good enough, and who's performing like that. There's a joy in that for him, and he just wants to see as many of those players coming through the system and into the team.
Well, guys, we must take a quick...
We were outstanding today. I think from the first minute, we were really active, really intense, show a lot of quality, play with real purpose to hurt them with or without the ball. And we create an unbelievable atmosphere, which helps a lot. We know the meaning of the game, we know how important it is for everybody, so it's a gift that we have the opportunity to make a lot of our supporters very happy, and I'm sure we have accomplished that, and they will feel very proud about the team.
That was the most important thing for us tonight, is that we knew what it meant. We had that fire in our stomach, and we knew that Liverpool drew yesterday, but it was a chance to obviously close the gap to them a little bit, but also to beat our rivals, and it was a special night again.
And you nearly nicked something. You were never out of that game, were you? And Pedro Porro hits the post very late on. You could have got something.
Yeah, but that's kind of relevant to the point of we weren't anywhere near the levels we should be today. Especially in the first half, I just thought we were way too passive and allowed Arsenal to sort of get into a rhythm. We kind of hung in there the whole game. Second half was a little bit better, but nowhere near the level we need to be.
Well, Mike, a real contrast in the demeanour of the two managers and a real contrast in what they said about their respective teams. Arsenal at it and Tottenham not.
Yeah, Spurs were passive, but you have to give credit to Arsenal, especially after going out the FA Cup to Man United. You're looking for reaction. And I just thought today they had a higher energy, especially in that first half. And this is straight from kickoff. Look at the intent. They're going to press, win the first ball, win the second ball, and then put Spurs on the back foot. And I think at times at Arsenal, they've been a little bit passive. I think when Arteta first came to the club, this is at Arsenal we saw a lot. Everyone knew their jobs, but they was pressing high, full of confidence, and it forced Spurs into mistakes. Young goalkeeper has played well today. He was a little bit nervy. Again, look at the press. Everyone knows exactly where they need to be. I think with Arsenal and the way they've pressed at times, they've sort of gone by themselves. Today was more of a team. They know exactly what they need to do. Of course, it's a North London derby. The energy had to be there, but they did all the jobs brilliantly well. I mean, forcing Spurs one way, and Spurs in these normal areas, very good in tight areas, trying to force Arsenal one way so they could play the other way. But today, I just thought in every area of the pitch in that first half, everyone knew the jobs and they did it exceptionally well. I mean, Odegaard, seen a lot more of him since he's come back into the team. He's been okay. The pressing side was a lot better today. And then, can you force them into mistake? It's about the timing, and then have you got the pass once you get into these areas? We've talked about Arsenal not finishing off their chances once they get into these. And Trossard, it's become people saying a Havertz problem, but I think it's more of a collective. When they go forward, they need to chip in a lot more goals.
Share the goals around
throughout the team.
Yeah. They scored again from a set piece. Yep. You can look at the set piece, but Tottenham fans will be also looking at how the set piece came about and saying, this is not a corner.
Yeah, and rightly so. It wasn't. And it's a poor decision. It clearly comes off Trossard last. But how many times have we said it? Again, Tottenham concede from the corner. But what they do also, they actually try to reduce the numbers. They leave two up. Look, they've left two up to try and reduce the numbers in the box. But again, they're all over the place. I mean, Gabriel and Dragusin, he wants it more than him. He knows he's got the flight of the ball. Again, Spurs were weak at a set piece, being punished again.
Don't want to go down a whole VAR discussion, but would you like to see but would you like to see a referee be told, actually, that isn't a corner?
Yes, I would agree with that, but, I mean, we're going to get ourselves in knots if we go into that, aren't we?
Right, OK. Would you agree?
No, I wouldn't like it, no. They can't do. They've had problems with VAR anyway, so to give them extra responsibilities.
When we look at Tottenham, they beat Manchester City 4-0 away at the end of November. And since then, their form has fallen off a cliff. How concerned are you?
Well, yeah, I would, without doubt, if you're a Tottenham fan, they have to be. But I know they've got injuries to centre-backs and the goalkeeper. But you cannot go up against your rivals and your manager come out at the end of the game saying we weren't really up, we were nowhere near our levels. That's not acceptable. You can't go into a game of that magnitude and that size and not turn up in the first half. They were a little bit better second half, not a lot, but all the good things Mike has just showed about Arsenal, you didn't see that at all with Tottenham, and they looked a bit of a mess at times.
Basuma and Sarr, didn't they, in the first half? They got subbed, Johnson come on, and Madison, but it was too little too late. I think Arsenal already knew what they wanted to do. Yeah, the damage was already done. But in terms of Spurs, I would be a little bit concerned. I'm a big fan of Ange. I think he wants to play the right football, but he needs to get results. We can talk about injuries all we want, but he needs to find a way to win with the players that he's got available.
What I would say is Gray and Bergvall, two of the youngest players, were two of their better players, and that tells you everything.
Not for the first time.
Absolutely.
Making his North London derby debut at the age of 18. We wonder what that's like. Oh, we've got someone who's done it. Because you were 18 as well. They won 3-0 that day. I mean, at that tender age, I mean, to be that confident, that mature, to take it all in like he is.
Yeah, I mean, you could see his confidence there, and he backed it up with his performance tonight. I thought he was absolutely outstanding, to be fair to him, to come in sort of the few weeks that we've had in that magnitude of that game. I thought he handled himself brilliantly, and he was up against Kulusevski there, who is, you know, been probably one of Tottenham's better players this season, and offers so much sort of threat down that right-hand side. So he can be proud of tonight's work, and you know, he was obviously really excited, and the emotions were definitely going there with a few of them.
He said he was trying to take it all in. Is that possible when you're 18? Because I guess you're just playing without any fear, are you, at that age?
Yeah, I think so. But like you see, when he came off the field, then you could see he was pumped up a bit, and he realised probably that he's you know, had a decent game, and the fans appreciated that. So, you know, it's about taking these moments in and making sure that you do sort of cherish these moments. They don't come along very often, and you know, these games are important, and they are the ones that you look back at the end of your career and go, do you know what, I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to play there and to win.
You like that attitude from him at 18?
Oh, that's beautiful. You know, when you were young, all we dream about is to be part of these big games, and he said it already. And when I was in Monaco, I wanted to play against Paris Saint-Germain because obviously there were players like Gigi Okocha, Ronaldinho playing for Paris Saint-Germain then. And when I moved to England, playing the derby, it was just like you wake up, you buzzing, all your family members were calling you from Africa. Are you going to score today? You have to be ready. We heard about the derby. So for him to be buzzing like that is beautiful to see. But the most beautiful thing is to see how confident he is. In his head, he just want to have fun, and which he did quite well. So for him, congratulations to him. Hopefully we see him in a long run. He has a lot of quality, a lot of potentiality. You just have to keep learning, keep training every day. Confidence is one thing, but don't let it lead you on the wrong way. You have to focus. You have to learn from the other players like Thomas Partey, Ben White. You have to keep learning, because every day in our life we have to learn. And when I moved to Arsenal first time, I would learn a lot from Thierry Henry, Freddie Ljungberg, Robert Pires. They were all talking to me. I was always going to ask questions. I'm not scoring, how to score. I can't do this, how to get it better. So I think he's a young lad. For him to have a better career, longer career, he have to decide to start learning. The confidence is beautiful, but we still have to learn.
Yes, that just the 4th Premier League start for Miles Lewis-Skelly. All smiles then from him and from Arsenal. What about the Tottenham side of the story? Here is their manager with some pretty strong views, I'm told, Ange Postecoglou.
You soaked up the early pressure, you took the lead, but you end up having to leave here with defeat. What did you make overall of your team's performance?
Yeah, look, nowhere near good enough. Especially in the first half, we're just way too passive, and yeah, allowed Arsenal to sort of dictate the game. Like I said, we hung in there, but that's all we were doing. And yeah, second half was a little bit better, but nowhere near good enough. And yeah, unacceptable.
What can you do about that when you're standing on the sidelines and you can see that your team are too passive?
Well, you know, I mean, ultimately, I guess the responsibility lies to me and how we prepared the players, and you know, what their mindset was going out there. Certainly wasn't our intent when we started the game. You know, like I said, second half was a little bit better, but certainly in the first half, nowhere near the standards we want to set.
At 2-1, though, there's always a chance right up until the end that you can still come away with something out of the game, and Pedro Porro came closest, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but, you know, that's not what I'm interested in. I'm more interested in how we go about playing our football, and it wasn't anywhere near the level today.
How do you go about changing that for the next game then?
We've got no choice. We just go back to work and prepare for a tough game.
I can see and I can hear from how you're explaining things that it's another tough defeat to take for you. How much do these losses hurt you?
They're not well, of course they hurt me, but they're just not acceptable. We've had too many losses this year, too many games where we've let get away from us, and that needs to stop.
It is 11 defeats at this stage, which is the most that Tottenham have had in a league season since 2009. Does it feel like you can still salvage something out of this season in terms of the league?
Well, there's no other way of looking at it. You know, if you sort of give up now, then there's no point. But it needs to stop, yeah.
What would success look like for you now then?
Look, I think right now we just got a big game on the weekend against Everton, and that's our focus, and we'll look what happens beyond then after that.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, there are the 11 defeats after 21 matches and the years they've had them. They're also in the table. Only once in the last 27 years have they been this low in the top flight at this stage of the season. Well, he didn't hold back there, Tim. Nowhere near good enough, unacceptable, nowhere near the level that they were after.
Yeah, he feels like every Tottenham fan feels at the moment. It hurts, to lose a North London derby, it hurts, but on the back of a poor run of form as well. He's authentic. I like him. I mean, he says it how he don't shirk any responsibility there. He's taking it on his chin. He knows he's the manager. The buck stops with him. And if the team doesn't perform, as a manager, you have to take the responsibility. But he doesn't try and shift the responsibility onto anyone. Wasn't blaming any referees, wasn't blaming any individual players. He's blaming himself. He's blaming his coaching team.
Is he right to do that?
Well, yeah, because you're the manager and he's real. He's realistic. We've seen plenty of managers in the past try and look for every excuse under the sun to protect their team and protect themselves. He's not trying to do that. He's taking the responsibility upon himself. And I admire him for that, I really do. I think that you got to give this guy time to work with a group of players what are capable of playing his identity and intensity week in, week out. And unfortunately, they fell foul of injuries. I'm making excuses for him because he doesn't look to make them. They've had injuries there. They are missing key players, especially to their back players. But today, he saw the game exactly like we saw it. They were second class to a first class Arsenal performance, and they look like they're a long way away from challenging the likes of Arsenal's and the Liverpools and the Chelseas and even Man United, who've started, Newcastle as well, Aston Villa's. The objective at every season as a Tottenham manager is, whether it's realistic or not, is to finish in the top four in the Champions League. They've had a recent history of doing that. Pochettino did it time and time again, took them to the semi-final of that final of that competition. So they're capable of doing it. The club know that, but they're nearer to the relegation than they are to top four at the moment. So that can't be right. So something has to give. Now, for me, it's not the manager who has to give. I think you need to give them help in the transfer market. It's not as if Tottenham don't spend the money. They do spend the money. But they need to find the right players to give to this man so he can work with them and hopefully they can get a run of games together and push them out the league. I still maintain they beat anyone on their day. They're a cup side for me. If they can go on and win the Carabao Cup, they're 1-0 lead. They've got to go to Anfield, albeit in the second leg. It's going to be tough for them. If they can win that game, they go to a final Wembley. You never know. If he can win a trophy this year, it will be deemed a success by them fans who were very disappointed tonight. To the hierarchy, to the owners of the club, a success, they'll be pleased. But if they finish where they are in the league, which is 13th position, they would deem that as a failure with the bread and butter, which is the Premier League.
And that run, Adi, is 5 points from 27 now for Tottenham.
Looking at the gaffer speaking about the team, you can see the sadness on his face. You can definitely he's going to make some changes. He's not saying it. They were nowhere close to the level of Arsenal or the opponent, as he said today. So you can just tell that he's going to make changes, and you can see the keeper making mistake upon mistakes. You can make one mistake in a game where you have the ball, you keep it, the striker comes to press you, you don't know what to do. But he didn't. He's a great goalkeeper. He's very young. He will learn. He will be much better in the future. But you made 3-4 mistakes in a big game, you kick the ball away. You understand what I mean? So for me, I think is the team, the club itself, they have to make a lot of changes. As he said, the team, they have to find a way to bring some players in. This manager, you can tell he's not far from giving up. He's definitely not far from giving up. But for him to have hope, if we're in January, if they can get him 1 or 2 players now before he can bring his own list onto the board and tell them, these are the players that I want to work with next season, it's going to be a whole different story. Because looking at the players, the way they're playing today, you can tell what he asked them to do. They didn't do anything at all today, because you can see the way they were losing the ball, they were losing position. When the ball is at this side, you can see the fullback in front of, what are they actually doing? And for him, being on the side as a manager, I think he must be really confused tonight. He will go home and be asking himself, why am I even a manager? Because at some point, those are the questions we ask ourselves. Why am I even a footballer? Missing these kind of chances, missing this control, missing the easy thing. But today, it's not his fault. He make a plan. He has a plan. He put it out there, but the player couldn't respect it. They couldn't respect it even to up to 10%. That's very, very poor from a team like Tottenham. As he said, when I first moved to England, Tottenham is a team that we respected because they always have a way of finishing in the top 4. When I was in Arsenal, the same thing. When I moved to Tottenham, it was the same thing. But this year it's looking like they are going towards relegation zone than being in the top 4. So they have to make the changes now.
And you said at half-time that from an opposition point of view, they always give you a chance, don't they, playing against Spurs?
Yeah, I think obviously there was loads of chances that Arsenal created from Tottenham's mistakes, really, you know, inviting that pressure onto them. Arsenal went quite aggressive with the press. But yeah, Tottenham was still playing into that, really. They weren't playing or thinking of playing over the press or going long. They did it once or twice, but there was countless occasions there where Arsenal's press was good. Tottenham got sucked into it, and Arsenal nicked it off and created a chance from that. I think, yeah, obviously from a Tottenham perspective, yeah, they'd be disappointed with that, and they were far from at their best tonight. I think with the players that they have available at the moment and things like that, everybody needs to take responsibility there, and whether that be the style of their playing or what them players are asked to do as well. I felt like they were really open tonight and exposed, especially on them counter-attacking, actions that Arsenal created against them.
We know they're open. They play with that open style. They got, is it the third best defence away from home in the league?
Yeah, it was the best at half-time.
The best. I mean, people will be falling off their armchairs listening to that. I mean, it doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
You know, the play's so open. But it's because they play more aggressive when they're away from home.
I did triple check it with our head of stats, don't worry.
Yeah,
and he
so
assured me it was
checked
correct.
it. I mean, it's an incredible stat to have the best defence away from home in the league. No one would have guessed that. But that's out there. That's true. But they have to find a way to... The strength, I said, was their front players.
You keep saying find a way, but you keep saying that Postecoglou won't change.
He won't change.
Style. So what is the way then?
Well, to find a way is to find personnel.
The only way I think it will be bring some players that understand his mentality and understand the way he wants them to play.
So you're saying that they don't really grasp what the plan is?
Because you can tell he's a manager that wants his team, no matter what situation they should play, like old days with Arsene Wenger. We are losing 2-0, 5 minutes to go, and with Thierry Henry, you are telling all the boys, kick the ball front. Arsene Wenger is like, no. Keep the ball on the floor and pass it around.
Yeah.
This is the type of manager that he is. But the players today are not taking responsibility on the pitch, are not doing the job for him properly. Then it's causing him a problem.
And you have to take responsibility yourself as a player, and decision-making is wrong. I mean, we saw goals. We can see a couple of goals, what they've conceded, where I think they're too aggressive. The fullbacks are too aggressive with their positions, and they're leaving gaping holes down the side of centre-backs. It cannot happen, but that's individuals making that. He's not saying to Pedro Porro, go as high as you can when we haven't got good possession, and almost like a right winger. And then when the ball breaks down, then it's a 1v1 down the side of the central defender. It cannot be right. That is wrong, but that's fundamental problems, what they have to identify themselves and manage on the pitch. He cannot hold their hand every minute of every game. He can tell them how he wants them to play, which is they're enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. Every day they're in training, they think, well, we're playing with the ball. The manager trusts us to go toe-to-toe with whoever we play. It's fantastic as a player. As attacking players, and like that. You know, it's hard sometimes for the defenders because they're going to be left 1v1 all of the time. But if you're not prepared to play 1v1, Romero is, Van der Ven is, but they're injured at the moment. So they're bringing in other players. Perhaps they need a little bit covering up. So at times, you know, the likes of Archie Gray or Dragusin needs to say to Pedro Porro, just stay in here for a minute. Jed Spence, just stay there. Just Basuma, just protect me in there for a minute. Manage it yourself on the pitch.
You're saying that's a player's responsibility on the pitch, not a coaching one before you go on.
I think it's both. I think it's a responsibility to the manager to set the plan.
I'm pretty sure it's a plan that the manager told them he would never tell them to go front, even though if they are not in a good position. Like if you see the second goal of Arsenal, Spencer, how you call it?
Yeah, Jed Spence.
Spence passed the ball to Bissouma. He was asking for 1-2, right? But the other one, Sporo, was already as a right wing. You can't do that playing against Arsenal. You know, obviously, we know that they are going to have the ball, or they knew that Arsenal will have the ball. So the most you can do is stay behind the ball. You can never be in front of the ball playing against Arsenal because these players are just too good with the ball. And for me, I'm pretty sure he told them that, but they are not respecting it. They are thinking of attacking. You have to attack, you have to defend first.
Yeah.
You have to be clever, find a way to defend properly before having the ball. When you're in a good position, you attack. In every situation, Tottenham's players want to attack. And for me also, the thing that they are doing also, they are not taking the easier decision where they can play one touch, they are trying to control the ball, try to turn inside. No, play one, you see the goal, you see the pass from Odegaard. This is 1-2. He didn't do it, he turned around. The tackle, look at the pass. Yeah. If you put any Tottenham players there, he will not do that one pass. You see Odegaard, one touch in the space. But this is how you respect the game. Look, it's finished. But Tottenham are not doing that. They are making life so difficult for this beautiful manager.
Well, they had 5 or 6 players on the top line there. And I mean, you know, if they do lose the ball, they're so open to their counter-attack.
Look at the right back. Look at where he is. What are you doing there?
It's okay being wide and expansive and very high if you've got good possession. When you haven't, it's a fight ball in the middle of the pitch. When you haven't got good possession, you need to be more secure and more responsible. But they're not. They're high and wide far too early when they haven't got good possession in the midfield and they're paying the price. Not just today, but all season they paid the price for that.
But just to... On the pitch, you're saying that's the player's responsibility. That's not the way they've been set up by the manager.
No, they have to manage it. No one's saying to Pedro Porro, go there too high too early, saying go high at the right times, but wait until we have good possession. If I was Postecoglou, I'd be saying, I like you, Pedro, you're top man in the final third, but you have to be more responsible. And sometimes you have to still develop these players. Jed Spence still a young man. Pedro Porro, if he's not willing to be developed, I'm sure he is, then don't have him in your squad. But you need to teach him at the right times to go. And he's very good in the final third, we know that. But just stay in that position. If they block that hole up, there's no pass down the side of the right side centre-back for them 2 goals.
I think one thing that is also important is you have to know your opponent, who you're playing against. If, as opposed to play against Tottenham today, I will be one of the most happiest striker on earth. Yeah. Why? I will just wait, they have the ball, and I will just go on one side and be sleeping. As soon as we got the ball, I will just do this. Because you play against Thierry like this, he will get hat-trick every day. Because he will just go on the right side, take the ball, come inside and cut. That's what you have to do. So at some point, the manager will tell them, I'm pretty sure the manager is not telling them, go front. No. But they have to also take responsibility. If you want to be a good player tomorrow, you want to have a chance to leave Tottenham and go to a better club or a bigger club, then you have to respect the team. And you have to respect yourself. Be in your zone. Stay in your zone. But today, what we are saying, if I can't mention one Tottenham player that I can say he was good today.
No, I think as a player as well, you do need to take that responsibility. I think I've been in teams in the past as well when you go in dribs and drabs and you're maybe pressing in a 2 and a 3 and the whole team are not going together and these gaps are starting to appear. But then you need to have that sort of feeling then on the pitch of, OK, it's happened 2 or 3 times now. They played around us and it has been some dangerous moments. Right, let's just all get back into a bit of shape, get them to one side, and then we can start our press from there and maybe force them and use the touchline for that. For me, Tottenham are going a bit all over the place and the back line's maybe staying a bit too deep at the moment and these massive holes are appearing and their full-backs are getting exposed in you know, positions they don't like. If there's a turnover, they are getting hurt.
From the beginning of the game, you can see they were trying to play from the back. After 10 minutes, it's not working. Find a way to adapt yourself to the game. Play long ball on the striker. You should find a way to keep the ball for you to move forward. But they were still trying. Yeah. That's when the keeper made 2-3 mistakes in the first 5 minutes. Yeah. So listen, if you're on a game like this, derby, you have to adapt yourself. You know that, okay, you are trying to control the ball, it's not working, don't come anymore, go behind. If you are going behind, you realize that the fullback or the right back or the defender is quicker than you, then come deep. You have to adapt yourself. This is a big game. And maybe these are the chances that we had. You score a lot of goals in this kind of derby. This is what I do. If I ask for the ball, I realize that Ledley King or Dawson is killing me. I'm like, okay, you know what? Thomas Rosicky, Cesc Fabregas, put the ball behind, let's run. But these are the things that they have to do. They knew that giving the ball to Bissouma, most of the time, this season, he's losing it. It's costing them a goal. How can that happen again today in a derby? Yeah. It's not normal.
They play the word I can use for them, which is not only today, but when I watch Tottenham mostly, is hectic. That is why they're hectic all of the time. If you look at their 3 midfield players today, Papsar, Bergvall, Bissouma, whenever they get the ball and there's space in front, they drive. It's like as if they're being chased. Someone's chasing them. They're running with the ball, trying to break lines. You give the ball to Johnson when he comes on. He's burning it up. Kulusevski, the same. Solanke, Son on the side. There's no one control. There's no control. They take too many touches too many at a too much of the time. They need that person in there. That's why I think when Maddison come on, he helped him. He helped him with more control because he's more... He just takes the pace out of the game, moves the time on. He passes it, gets some breather. They can rest on the ball. It is very...
I think rhythm is
Big,
massive
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
You
As
need
he
to
said, he's
pick
a
and
midfielder.
choose when you actually want to go somewhere with intent, or if you want to drive. And then there's times when you need a Maddison to come on the pitch and just go, right, let's just calm it down and get 3 or 4 passes.
Just rest on the ball.
Rest on the ball. And
Big
then
players
pick
know
up time
when to
go.
play one touch, when to control the ball. I had a chance to play with all these Modric, Xabi Alonso, list goes on, Ozil. But at some point, the game will ask you to play one touch. But if you look at Papsa, Bissouma, they are all my brothers, but they never play one touch. But that's what the game asks for. Sometimes you play one touch, then you take the ball, then you go. That's Yaya Toure. We all knew how great he was, but like he played one touch, then he drop in, then he come back. But like you can't just be taking the ball and be going all the time like they're doing. They are not big, they are not too strong, and most of the time it's causing. My problem is, it's a mistake, right? If it's not costing us goals, okay, it's still a mistake, but it's costing you guys goals. How many times did Bissouma lost the ball that they consider a goal this season? Maybe 3, maybe 4. But how you want to be in the top 4, making the same mistake week in, week out?
They need to find a way, don't they, to win. Get the right balance between what exactly he wants to do and his principles and things like that he wants to implement, but also get results.
It's not as if they can't win playing like this, but they're never ever going to be consistently winning playing like that.
Well, they've won once in 9 games, and that was against Southampton, the bottom club.
Yeah.
Playing like that.
Yeah. But they have beaten Man City playing like that. They can beat the best playing like that, but everything has to go their way. And the goalkeeper has to play very well, and they have to make last-ditch tackles. When with Van der Ven playing or Romero, perhaps they can play this way. Yep. If they go into the transfer market and bring some different personnel in, perhaps they can play the Postecoglou way. At the moment, they're struggling. Look, I don't care how they play. Perhaps to challenge the likes of Arsenal at the moment, the likes of Liverpool and Man City, Nottingham Forest at the moment. I mean, they beat them as well, on the counter-attack. They sucked them in, they caught them on the break. Perhaps they need better players to be able to do that. But they are losing games against lower sides as well. You're absolutely right. That run of form there is not good enough, and they need to start picking up. But let's just hope when they play in the Cups, they do have their day, because they're capable of beating anyone.
Fascinating discussion. Let's get some reaction from inside the Tottenham dressing room. Here's Dejan Kulusevski.
Gutting, is that defeat in the North London derby?
Yeah, no, it's a very bad feeling. I'm very disappointed of the game.
What should Tottenham have done differently tonight?
First off, we should get the first goal they score. No, we should get a goal kick. That's exactly what we should get. Happened now 3 games in a row.
And after Son's goal, didn't have a shot on target. How do you explain that one?
No, they are very strong. They are very strong defensively. Second half we played a little bit more offensive, but not good enough. Not enough quality, and physically also. We tried, but it was not good enough from no one.
Your manager has just said that he takes responsibility, but do you players feel for your manager as well?
No, everyone takes responsibility. Everyone. People ahead of us, the players, the manager, nobody can hide, Everybody's part of it.
Ready to bounce back at the weekend, Everton away?
Yeah, you have to. That's the only thing you can do in life.
Match against Everton, but he said the performance tonight was unacceptable, nowhere near the standards that they accept. Perhaps the responsibility on him because of the way they prepared the players, Rio, but where does the responsibility lie for that?
Yeah, I think he has to take his share of responsibility, but the players will have to take some as well. But I would say, I think you've got the caveat to that as well. You've got a 21-year-old inexperienced goalkeeper, you've got a 22-year-old inexperienced in Premier League terms centre-back, alongside an 18-year-old who's had 10 starts in the Premier League, coming from Leeds in a lower division. So,
but the 2 18-year-olds, arguably the better players on the pitch.
And an 18-year-old in front of that.
So do the experienced players have to?
But what I'm saying is, then if that's the heart of your team there, and the most inexperienced part of your team is there, then you're going to come a cropper. You're going to have bad results. You're going to have bad performances. So that has to play a part in it. But at the same time, again, maybe he has to be more adaptable with his tactics, given that is the situation right now.
They just couldn't get out. They were basically strangled by Arsenal, and then they score a goal, perhaps very definitely against the run of play. He was decisive at half-time. He was quite brave. He wanted to change it. Brought 2 substitutes on, but they just didn't have enough to break Arsenal down. And in the end, they lose the game. And the pressure was going to come onto, wasn't it? The question marks were going to be there for whichever manager lost this game tonight. To lose 11 games in the Premier League, as I say, the pressure really comes onto him. Huge game now away at Everton. David Moyes losing tonight, and they'll be really wanting to take Spurs on, and they'd have been buoyed by that because they think, okay, they're vulnerable, Spurs. We can beat them. And his tactics does play a part. You know, this high press, people are playing through it, and then there's such a high line. If you run from deep, you can get in, and everybody knows that.
Yeah, 5 points from 27 for the last 27 available, Peter. The only win in the last 9 against Southampton. How much does that crank up the pressure on Ange Postecoglou?
Yeah, it does. You know, we all know the injury problems, but as you said, I think the two 18-year-olds, I think Bergvall and Gray, for me, were the best 2 Spurs players. And I think, you know, what does that say for the more experienced players? I know if I'm an experienced player in that team, I feel embarrassed. You know, I feel like we should be helping players like this through a difficult time, but they're kind of leading the rest of them. I look at Son. I think he's been as a disappointing season. I think he's pretty anonymous again today. I felt sorry for Solanke. I've played in that role where, you know, you don't create anything, and when you play in the second half, you've got Bergvall, Kulusevski and Maddison in midfield. I don't. You're a centre half. No, 2 centre halves here, right? How do you deal with that? If you're a young 18-year-old kid and you've got 3 players who creative going forward are very good, but defensively don't give you much.
To give yourself,
and also they didn't create in the second half.
No, to give yourself any chance, you have to lose your voice because you've got to communicate, you've got to scream. But you're asking 2 inexperienced young players who actually, at that age, when you're a young kid coming into a team at any level, the first thing you're trying to do is look after yourself, not marshal teammates around. There's very few 18-year-olds, 22-year-olds in teams are able to kind of manage themselves and then start managing others on the pitch. That's where my point comes across, that in them critical areas they have no experience of people that can lead a team through difficult moments in games, and they're getting punished.
And when we look ahead for them, Peter, they've now got the cup competitions, really. Their league position, 13th in the table, could be 14th tomorrow. Europa League starts again next week. But that week where they've got the second leg in the Carabao Cup and then the FA Cup next round, how crucial is that?
Yeah, it is crucial, but they need players back. I think, you know,